Ms. Fauzia Viqar, I'd like to turn over to you now. Ms. Al-Salam gave a very detailed overview of what the legislation in different jurisdictions looks like. In Pakistan, what are the specific social and cultural circumstances surrounding the incidence of rape, particularly relating to themes that Ms. Al-Salam discussed, particularly those involving power and control, and the questions about consent and lack of consent. Particularly, if I also may add one dimension, in the framework of the issues and challenges that we've had revolving child marriage.
Thank you, Malia. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate the Asma Jahangir Foundation for this wonderful conference every year, where I feel that there is an uninhibited conversation on rights and ways forward for us to promote democracy. Need of the hour, really. And I thank you for this session also. I think Ms. Reem has really set the tone for what I had to say, because your question on the social context of it is what is fundamental in addressing rape. Because I feel that even though we have much cause to celebrate effective legislation, especially the recent legislation which is the Anti-Rape Investigation and Trial Act of 2021, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, which makes the legal framework to punish rape quite effective. I feel our problem is not legislation as much as it is the social context, which leads to perpetration of rape. Because I feel like, much as Ms. Arslan said, rape is really an exercise of power. It is always perpetrated on the weak, really. Hence, the definition of rape, which deals with women and children. It is the disempowerment of women and children, really, which subjects them to rape. And even when you look at the system, the way it is constructed, generally, the victims of rape do not get justice because of the fact that they either do not have the money to pursue their cases, or they don't have the resources to be able to get justice. The system seems to be inclined towards denial of justice, I guess, in one form or another to the victims. If you talk to, I'm not going to go into the specifics of the law, which I know that in the later round of questions we are going to address, but you'll see that within the criminal justice sector, there is a general perception that rape complaints are fake. And I have Ms. Maria sitting here also, who is going to probably talk about it also, maybe in a more sympathetic manner. But if you talk to lawyers, not necessarily lawyers, but if you talk to the police officers, male police officers and judges, and I have spoken with many in institutional forums, the general observation is that 98% of the rape cases are fake. Perhaps, yes, I agree. Maybe many of them are fake. But we have to look at the definition of fake. What is it that has made them fake? Whether it is the resiling of the victim or the witness, which leads you to declare them fake, or the fact is that the victim, let's say, withdraws the case, or the most important matter over here is when a woman has been used to file a complaint of rape by one family, by one tribe, by one household, in order to get even with another family, household or tribe. The woman has been raped, but it was to use her in order to get even with someone else. So if that is the definition of fake, I don't see that as fake. The rape has happened, the woman has been used. And where is it? Really, I think we need to address the issue of denial of power to women, which leads to all these issues of fake complaints also. Similarly, I want to address another matter, which is consent. Consent is fundamental in any sexual relationship, we all know, and here I see all lawyers. The definition of rape where a child, now the Anti-Rape Investigation and Trial Ordinance has declared that statutory rape is any child, whether a boy or girl, below the age of 16. We have inconsistencies in laws also where, child marriage does not recognize children as under the age of 18. So where does the consent come from? I feel that is another lacuna also. And finally, I know other people need to speak. We as a society have a lot of rape apologists in our decision making, And unless and until we really take the bull by the horns, we declare that rape is an offense, that we stop apologizing for women's, for men's action because women are dressed in X, Y, or Z manner, we are not going to be able to address rape, no matter how effective the legislation. Thank you.
Where do you think the challenges of actually implementing this law are going to lie?
So, Maliha, just for the sake of the audience, I'd like to clarify, or rather talk about some of the things that the new law gives us. The law talks about anti-rape crisis cells in public hospitals. It talks about the special courts, which we in Punjab referred to as GBV courts, since 2016, when SOPs as well as guidelines were issued to establish gender-based violence courts with special dispensation. Similarly, the law puts a time frame on the various parts of investigation or the continuum of investigation. It provides for victim and witness protection. It talks against, or rather gives provisions, or has provisions against people who resiling in courts, etc. And it has various other mechanisms which relate to the process itself, the investigation and trial itself also, which are very helpful. So those are the good parts of it. It also gives the Prime Minister the ability to appoint, or rather to declare certain courts as GBV courts or the special courts, and to appoint specific officers, police officers, as the GBV officers or the anti-rape officers or whatever. Well, I guess the first challenge that it might be because of lack of my understanding, or also because the law is not fully available at the moment, is that policing and judiciary, they are both provincial subjects. So how does that take care of the constitutional 18th Amendment and the devolution? If everything is going to flow from the federation, how does that get addressed? That is I think, a challenge that we need to address. The second thing is that we are hailing this law as, as if it's bringing everything anew. But like I just said, in 2016, Punjab announced GBV courts to take care of sexual and gender-based or sexual crimes. What happened was, with the passage of time, despite all the good intentions after the Salman Akram Raja case, when the Supreme Court had given guidelines on how rape is going to be investigated, how women police officers will be deputed, etc., we got all that. But then when leadership was gone from it, when the priority, as Ms. Maria talked about, was taken away from gender-based violence crime, it all fell through. We have one GBV court in Lahore. I'm happy to see there are more child courts, but we don't have the special courts that the law talks about anymore, although the space was there. So it's about resourcing. It's about providing leadership to the issue. Unless that happens, I can tell you, nothing is going to change. Policing is not going to change. In 2014 onwards, Punjab brought about this whole concept of, and I think it flows from the Salman Akram Raja case in 2014, the Supreme Court case, where special women, gender-based violence units were going to be established in all the police divisions, where special prosecutors were going to assist the GBV courts, and GBV courts were going to be established. That fell through. Now you see, after all that hype that was created, and after all the smart women police officers invested in the issue of sexual and gender-based crimes, they were appointed, special prosecutors who were women who were appointed. It all fell through because nothing came out of it. After that one court, at least I haven't seen any more courts. And if we are going to take this across the country, it's not about the law, like Senator Saab also said. It's about providing leadership to it. It's about going beyond the narrative, beyond the rhetoric, I should say, and resourcing it. Thirdly, I feel the challenge is going to be accountability. The certainty of punishment comes from tangible mechanisms for accountability. Where is it written in the police officers or police officials ACR that you have to show convictions, or you have to show a positive record on gender-based violence crimes? So unless we build that into the performance of the police, the prosecutors, and the judges, we are not going to get accountability that we are expecting to have. And I think finally, I agree that Taaleem-o-Tarbiyat is very, very important. And we need to do that formally, perhaps, in the law, where people know that this is a punishment for law. But we also, build the narrative. I don't think the current narrative is about punishing rape. It's about apologizing for rape. And unless we address that, I don't think we are going to have implementation of the law.
Thank you so much, Fauzia.